If you desire to understand your emotions more clearly, it's important to understand the distinction between primary and secondary emotions. There are different ways that we can think about these emotion categories, but when it comes to understanding problematic reactions, where we're confused in some way by our own emotional response, or it feels maybe like our emotions are more intense than the situation calls for, we can think of our primary emotions as emotional wounds from our past. Maybe, for example, we experienced tremendous shame because we were bullied. Invalidated, we experienced abuse or neglect. Maybe instead we experienced powerlessness and fear because our surroundings were ultimately really unsafe. We constantly felt like we were insecure. Maybe we experienced sadness and isolation because we were often alone physically or emotionally. These core, painful primary emotions were so difficult that our body's natural response is to try to protect us from them, which can then ultimately cause us getting stuck in secondary emotions. Secondary emotions attempt to mask or prevent us from feeling those primary emotions. So for example, because you felt that tremendous shame as a child because you were bullied, whenever shame might be activated in your adult life, you escape to anger or get defensive to protect yourself. Or because you were powerless to escape negative circumstances as a child, or maybe you lived in chronic fear, you experience chronic anxiety that's trying to help you anticipate problems. Even though ultimately that anxiety ends up making things worse, it's your body's attempt and your brain's attempt to try to get some control over an otherwise powerless situation. To help ourselves understand and transform our negative emotions, it's important to access those primary emotions. If I can kind of catch myself stuck in that worry cycle, can I notice that this is my brain's attempt to try to keep me from feeling powerless, to try to keep me from feeling that fear, and instead validate the pain of that powerless feeling. Validate what I went through in the past that caused me to feel that way. If I can find myself getting angry at people in my life, can I actually dig a little deeper and assess whether there's some underlying shame that's going on? This is a really first critical step in understanding yourself and your emotions. Can you get to that underlying deeper emotion and validate where it came from? My name's Catherine, and if you're interested in understanding your emotions better, follow eFit Institute and begin pursuing your emotional fitness.